right, so my name is Nneoma Effanga, and today we're going to be talking about designing your identity. Designing your identity. Why is that important at all? It's important because each and every one of us has an identity. There is something that makes you unique and distinct, probably distinguished amongst other human beings or individuals on the planet. So it's important for you to know that that identity is relevant for the world we live in today. It's very, very important. Designing your identity, we're going to come to that, but we had earlier established in the first episode of this series that designing your identity. What is identity? Identity being a state of remaining in being one of ones. That means that if there's so many ones, there is a particular one that you are that is unique and different and can never be replaced by any other person. So you are a one of one. That means you're one of a kind. There is nothing and no one like you. So another definition of identity is being in that condition of oneself and having several qualities, uniqueness, belief systems and values that distinguish you and identify you anywhere you find yourself in the world. So if somebody cannot actually say that this is what you represent as an individual, then you might have a little bit of challenge determining what your identity stands for. If somebody cannot say categorically that this is who you are, or when they call a certain name or something and you are not easily identified by something, then you need to pay serious attention to this series. All right, so it's also identity. Now, talking about identity, it is also a sense of providing sameness or continuity. Now, that's another area that a lot of people have challenge, being able to have a full grasp of. Why do I say this? Because most times people start off something or they want to be known for something, and before you know it, they're not sure where they want to stand. They don't know what they represent. So they're here, they're there. There's no sense of continuity or consistency to who they say they really are. So they don't stand for anything. And usually they say that if you don't stand for anything, you're probably going to fall for everything. So at some point, you are going to take ownership of your life and determine that you want to be able to be known for something. All right, so with all of this, understanding of identity becomes easier. So when we mention or refer to identity, we actually mean being one of a kind, or being somebody who has maintained a high level of consistency in what they say they represent or what they say they are. Right? So it's also, and it embodies your belief system, your values, your personality over time, what you have evolved to become over time. So having that as an introduction or a foundation, the bottom line of having an identity is becoming an original. What did I say? I said that the bottom line of having an identity is becoming an original. In life, you have to become an original. If you're a photocopy of something, usually there's a point where they actually ask for the original. Oh, this is a photocopy. We want the original. We want to see that this document or this thing that you said is authentic, is original. That's what people will look for at some point or the other in life. So it's important that you become an original, and becoming an original is part of the journey of finding your identity, what you represent, what anytime that point or that discussion comes up, your name comes to mind because you are passionate about that thing, and it comes up in your thoughts, it comes up in your actions, it comes up in your behavior, it comes up in your appearance, it comes up in your communication. So everything about you begins to represent what and who you say you are. When you say one thing and your actions represent another, then there is an incongruence with who you say you are and what you actually are. You need to pay attention to that. It's very important, because if you say that you have an identity, then an identity is something that easily stands out. When somebody sees it, for example, when I say that part of what I do is that I help people in the area of appearance, behavior, and communication. And I came to you today and you didn't see me represent that. You didn't see it in my conversation. You didn't see it in my actions and my behavior. You didn't see it in my ability to be cognitive, in my approach to speech or to language or to discussion. Then there is an incongruence between what I say I represent and what I actually am. And designing your identity will mean that you will become consistent in representing that identity. You would be deliberate in how you represent that identity. That means you'll be looking for opportunities to show up as that identity. You will also be conscious. Where am I needed? Where is this identity needed? That means you will not be rooted everywhere. You will find a place that enables you to thrive in who you say you are. And also, you will be ready. That means you will put adequate steps every single day, action that you can accomplish every day, and you can have a target every week, every month, every quarter of the year, and every year, to be able to help you to be consistent, prepared, and ready for where you are supposed to show up, where you are needed, where your community is, where your core is, where are the people that you are designed for. So these are the things that you're going to be paying attention to. So today we are going to be talking about discovery in design of your identity. Now, some of the things you're going to be paying attention to as you discover yourself, because that's the starting point. That's the starting point. You're asking yourself, if I want to design my identity, if I want to be known for something, if I want to know this, if I want to have this as my stamp, that everywhere my name is called, this is what comes to the minds and the hearts of the people that are going to be engaging my services or my brand or my identity. So when you begin to design that, some of the things you're going to be discovering, the first thing we're seeing is, okay, first is discover, then you design, then you develop. Discover, design, and develop. We're going to start with discover. Discovering yourself is very important. A lot of people move around trying to be somebody else that they were not designed to be. In designing your identity, you have to discover who you are. And that's a question that I'm asking you today. As you begin this journey of self-discovery and self-mastery, and being able to design this identity and this brand that you want people to reckon with, to connect with. Who are you? When you ask yourself that question, you are going to be honest with yourself. Sometimes you would need to engage the services of an expert to take you on that journey of self-discovery. When you find out, what are my values? What are my belief system? What is my personality? And how can I evolve this personality? It's not about being a type A, for example. A leader, somebody who is a natural, being a leader, and somebody who is not, but anyone can train to be a leader. There's some that it comes natural with, and there's some that it comes with training because of where they are going to in life. So if it's part of what you need, then you're going to expose yourself. You're going to, open yourself to such a training or a value or belief that can help you on your journey of discovering your identity and consciously walking in that understanding as you connect with your community, right? So in discovering, you're going to apply inner wisdom. You're going to think, you're going to design. But before we get to design, you're first of all going to discover. You're going to discover what your inner values are, or what makes you you. There's some things that we've gone through life, like I said at the last episode, I said that 3 basic things affect us and who we become. Our background, where we came from, some of those things, some of those words that were added to who we are today, that's what makes us who we are. That's the byproduct of who we are today. So the environment that molded us, what are the belief systems that we were exposed to growing up? You would find out that some people can actually adapt to any situation because they grew up in an environment that enabled them to experience life holistically. While some people, some situations are thrown at them at life and they discover that they don't have what it takes, or they break, or they have an emotional breakdown, or they crack under the pressure that they're going through. So at the end of the day, you are going to find out what are those things, background, that empowered you. Growing up, I grew up with a military father. So some of us can actually resonate with that or connect with that, because when you are growing up with somebody who's in the military, it's obey the last order. So it was always, my dad would say something and he doesn't need to say it twice. Once he says it, everybody moves into action. And that's what I find myself. That training has helped me in life. There's certain situations I find I come into an environment and I see chaos and I see, disorder, and I just take action. So, okay, let's do it this way. I go, I begin to connect. I begin to do things. And it looks like, oh, she's just a natural leader. It's not about that. It was from training. So, right? Your background can affect who you become in the future. Your background is the first thing. The next is the environment. So some people growing up in Nigeria, for example, and those growing up in the UK or in Canada or in the US or in China, the orientation is going to be totally different. And the last one is significant emotional experiences. Now, some of us also grew up through traumatic situations. Some grew up in the war periods. Some others grew up in the time of peace, for example, and their orientation or their worldview will totally be different at the end of the day. So these are the things that gradually affect the person that we become and how we respond to situations. When we discover some of the things that have empowered us, then we become more conscious of it and deliberate to use it to our benefit and the benefit of others. So in discovering, while designing your identity, you want to discover your inner wisdom. What are the things that make you so knowledgeable and intelligent, so to speak? Those things are becoming very critical in helping to design your identity. Where does your wisdom thrive? Is it in logic? Is it in theory? Is it in practical examples? Is it in practical engagement of life? Some people are street smart. That's how wise they are. Some people are, smart intelligently, but they don't know how to navigate life. Some people may not be as smart in discovering things, but they know the ropes of life. They know how to maneuver. They've got street credibility that enables them to, have an advantage over others, right? So you're going to discover your inner wisdom. You're going to discover your inner value. You're going to own your voice. You're going to find out what gives you voice. When I was growing up, at a point, I didn't think that I had anything to offer. But when I realized my place, when I understood that these are the things that I'm passionate about family, I'm passionate about children, I'm passionate about growth, about development, about refinement and upgrade and upscaling, helping people to become the best versions of themselves. I find out that I find a way to go back to what I love, what I'm passionate about. In any conversation that I find myself, I just go into that space where I just connect, I just go to that space that makes me very intelligent when I express. And I express from that aspect. So I can help people understand that these are my area of passion. When it comes to these things, Nneoma is at the core of her game. So discovering and finding your voice is very, very important. It helps you to be known for something. So you're going to be asking yourself some questions. Question every action. Before you make a move, you're going to discover what helps me and why do I want to take that action. Move to have a better grasp. When you have that understanding of who you are, then you know when to take action and when to take a step back. You will know when to speak and when to keep silent. You will know that it's not everywhere that is your place to thrive. You have a better understanding of yourself, and it enables you to exude personal power, because this is the place that you feel a sense of authority and coordination and confidence. It helps you to exude confidence. And this is your place. You play in the space where you are gifted. And every one of us has a gifting. There's something that makes us special and different and defined, and unique in our ways. So sometimes I see people standing sort of looking at other people as if they're more intelligible, or they are more understanding, or they are of higher value, so to speak. And my thought, or my advice to you today, is that you are a person of value. When you discover that person that you are, you begin to walk in that consciousness. Somebody needs you the way you are. You don't need to change anything. All you need to do is to upgrade it, to upgrade that gifting or that thing that makes you unique and special, and make it relevant in today's world. That is how you begin to discover and design your identity. When you discover that thing that makes you different, that makes you passionate, and makes you an authority, then you begin. But we're going to talk about designing next Tuesday. But then you begin to design and create that masterpiece that you are by way of training, availing yourself of things that continue to help you to upscale and upgrade yourself. At the end of the day, you are discovering your uniqueness and you're owning it. There's some things that I may not be so confident about or knowledgeable about, but there are areas when you talk about it, that's my space. That is my place of authority, and I own it. I show up at 100% and I own it. So you find yourself in the place of your thriving. Don't go locating yourself. Discover those places that help you to become a better person. Online, so much information out there, a lot of people trying to pull all kinds of information, but at the end of the day, because you're discovering who you are and you are becoming comfortable in that consciousness, you will now begin to attract the things that help you to become all that you need as you design your unique identity. So